Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to assemble the waist trainer that I got off TikTok. So here you just see where I just opened the box and show you all the parts. These are all the parts pulled out the box. So here we have everything that we're going to need, all the parts and pieces. So here we're just going to assemble the bottom piece, which I call the T part. So basically, you're going to take that little knob out to actually pull that handle, adjustment handle, out. I found it easier if I flipped it over. I found it easier to actually assemble that leg in there. So you want to just make sure your leg, you want to make sure it's lined up right. So as you see, I have the little sticker away from me. So then just going to slide that in there. Once you slide it in there, you're going to replace the knobs to keep it secure. So you'll have a smaller knob. That smaller knob goes back up in the top piece there. So you see I'm just sliding that in there. And then the larger, longer knob is for your adjustables. So I just adjusted it to 2, slid it back in there. So now we have that leg on there. Next, we're going to assemble the other bottom piece. So with that bottom piece, what I did was I found it easier that if I actually flip it over, it'll work better. And with this, you want to have a set of 6 screws, You want to make sure that you take the longest screws with the washers on it for that bottom bar. So here I'm flipping that bar back over. And I'm going to take the bar again. Make sure you have the longest screws with the washers on them for this bottom bar. So you unscrew them, take the washers off. And this is how you're going to attach the bar. Also, this bar, it has like a square entry. So you want to make sure that the flat end of that screw is the one that sits at the bottom of that bar. And you're just going to push it through. And once you have it pushed through, you're going to take the washer. So the washer has like a little indentation on it. And that should fit smoothly right over that screw and bar. Then you're just going to screw that screw back on securely. And then do the other side the same way. It did come with a tool, so you're just going to take that tool and you're just going to secure it. So just a couple of turns. Make sure it's tight without stripping it, but just secure both screws. So next we're going to go to where we assemble what I call the seat. So what I did, I flipped it over to show you the base. So you have 4 areas. You have the 4 areas on that base that are for screws. You're going to get those screws from the seat. So as I show you the seat, you're going to actually remove all 4 of those screws, which I already did. But this is how the seat will sit on that base. And you just want to make sure it's lined up with the screw area. And I'll give you a little close up on how it looks. Now those were the original screws from the seat. I did flip it back over because it was easier to put it on the back side and screw those screws back in. So you'll take your little wrench and just securely screw all 4 of those in. So once they're screwed in, this is pretty much the setup of where we should be now. Top, bottom bar, seat. So once I've done that, I'm gonna flip it back over. Just make sure that's secure. So I'm just giving them a little up and down. We're gonna now go to the handlebar and the support bar. So this is how it should look up top. You're gonna grab your handlebar and you're gonna make sure it is in the U shape. And you wanna make sure that that handlebar sits into that indentation as well as it sits on the support bar side. Now you're gonna have 2 screws that don't have washers on there. Those 2 screws are what you're gonna use to put at the top of the handlebar. So you just slide those in there. And then you're gonna just screw them in with that tool. So once we've got those tightened, you want to take the support bar, and again, they have the same little square holes. You're going to take your last 2 set of screws, which are the smaller screws, the shortest of the screws with the washers on it, and you're going to use those to put that bar on. Now this was a little tedious because the way it had set in there, but I found that if I went ahead and put the screws in the bar one at a time and set it in there, it was a little bit easier. So that's what I'm doing now. I put the screws in the bar before I slid it actually into the actual handlebar piece. And once you get those in there, you're going to take your washers and put your washers on, and then you'll secure it, with your with the nuts. And again, this did take me a little bit longer, maybe because my nails, but I got it done. Once you have it somewhat secured, you're going to take your little screwdriver tool and you're just going to secure them in place. Make it as tight as possible. Again, you don't want to rip the screw, so just as tight as possible till it's secure. And this is the assembly of that. So this is where we should be so far. Now we're going to take the little foam pieces on the support bar and just slide those on. So you just take one at each end, slide them on, and then just pull them closer to the little gray circle area at the end. You're gonna do the other end. So we have both of those on. Now you're gonna go ahead and take your monitor out of your box. Your monitor should come with a battery. Mine did. So what I did, I went ahead and put my battery in before I connected it. So you're gonna have 2 black cords. You're gonna pull the bottom cord from your machine, and you're just gonna attach it to the monitor. Once attached, you're just gonna slide that monitor right into that little groove that sits at the top of your handlebars and just snap it in. And then you can take the excess cord and actually just push that back in there. So here's where we're pretty much almost done. So just a few more pieces. You're gonna have a base just to cover the seat area. So you're gonna see 2 screws. You're gonna just unscrew those screws, excuse me. And that's where that cover will sit on your base, the base of your seat. And it just snaps down in there, and you just take those screws, put those screws back in there, and screw them securely with your little screwdriver tool. Guys, just for tutorial reasons, I kept it up, but you can actually slide it all the way down. It'll be a little bit more secure for you to do it, but for tutorial purposes and for it to be in the camera, that's how I had it slid up midway. So we have that on. So now you're just gonna put your logo clip onto your bike, and that goes right on the handlebars. It's 2 grooves. You're gonna put that right on the handlebar and just snap that on. So you have that. Just making sure everything is in place. And this is your bike put together. I didn't show how to put the resistant bands on there, but pretty much you just put them through the bottom of the bottom bar, slide them on. Your resistance bands are there. And this is your waist trainer put together all the way. And now I'm just going to show you how you can just fold it and adjust your incline. So to adjust your incline, you just take that longest bottom bar out and just move it up or down to whatever setting you want, and just replace it. And then to actually fold your bike up, you're going to take that second smaller bar out, fold it, stick it back in there to secure it, and boom, you can put it against the wall, put it in the closet or whatever. But thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.